Welcome everyone back to the Jumper Punch here on Blue Abroad, your Tuesday evening fix. I'm joined as usual by Rocco. How are you diddling?
How are you, Daniel? How are you, everybody? And the footy is back. Hey, this is what we've been waiting for, man. There's only, I think when this goes there, there'll only be like 2 nights to go.
Yeah, two
nights to go.
Two pretending you like your family because the real thing starts. So yeah,
real thing starts, man. Remember last year, the last game, and now we're on the eve of an incredible season. I'm confident, man. I'm pumped. I'm really pumped about what we're going to do this year, and you'll see in Rocco's rant later on too. I'm going to get everyone pumped up, but there's no time to be sad. This is a time to win premierships, mate.
Well, I mean, it's the beginning of a new dawn as it's been billed for Carlton fans. So, I mean, it should be exciting. Well, obviously, new dawns. We had the girls play first of all before we get on to the men. They went down to Fremantle, leaving themselves probably an almost impossible task. They can still make finals, but it's now in the hands of the powers and the AFLW football gods to get them there. But it was a gut-wrenching loss, wasn't it, to Fremantle? There's no questioning their passion and desire.
Look, they played, I don't know what to say, man. It was heartbreaking at the end. They played so well. They deserved to win. They definitely deserve to win. Last 2 weeks, how good have they started the last 2 weeks? We've been complaining about their starts, and they've just been unbelievably. And their goals and everything they did, like players were playing well. It was good. And then it was like 3 to 5 minutes in that last quarter, and the game got just taken away from them. And that's footy. That's footy, man. As they say, you have to play. Well, the girls isn't 100 minutes, but you've got to play 100% of the time. And unfortunately, those 5 minutes cost them potentially finals this year.
Oh, 100%. I mean, they did super well. I mean, it was always a fear with Fremantle. The backline particularly stood up really well. Harrington, Lalofi, Wilson, they did really well throughout the game, but you could see it brewing. I mean, you could argue it was the umpires. There were some shocking decisions, but I mean, let's not take anything away from Fremantle's performance. Kira Bowers.
And let's not give anything to the umpires just quietly. They'll cop theirs later on. But you're right.
I mean, Kira Bowers as well. She was a class apart. Absolutely brilliant in the midfield for them. Their endurance and their intensity. It was an impressive win. It has to be said. It's hard to say, being on the other end of a defeat, but I mean, it was impressive. Fremantle fought hard, Carlton fought hard. It's a shame someone's got to lose a game like that, I always think.
I agree 100%, and we deserve to win that game. And you're right, I had the matchups. There was Maddie against Bowers. I think Bowers took the points at the end of the day. She had a really good game. She started a little bit slow, but she had a really, really good game, yeah. And, it was up and down. We were excited. I really thought we had it at the end. I remember saying to my son, there was like 5 or 6 minutes to go, and I said, nah, they're not going to kick 3 goals. No chance. And it was like I jinxed them, man. The next 3 minutes went crazy. And there was 1 or 2 decisions there that went against us that could have probably changed the whole outlook of the game. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think that's cost us finals, mate.
Yeah, it's very hard now. The task isn't insurmountable. It can be done, but I mean, now we're relying on results going elsewhere. So I mean, really the attention for the girls, in my opinion, focuses on finishing really well. Got Gold Coast and GWS. These are both winnable games.
Yeah.
And build for next year. For me, it's kind of the lesson learned. That game was very good. They played brilliantly against Fremantle. Just in the end, it didn't go their way. But I thought they left themselves a lot of work to do with their performances earlier in the year. And unfortunately, when you're only playing a 9-game season, it catches up to you, like, very quickly.
Yeah, and that's what happened. You know what I mean? Those games at the start, I think, cost us. We knew that. We knew those games were going to cost us, and it's exactly what happened, man. It cost us. We left too much work to be done at the back end of the season. Admittedly, these last 2 weeks have probably been their best 2 weeks. They've played so good. Even Harris coming back this week, you know, she played a little bit of a different role. You know what I mean? She wasn't that stay-home forward, and the team looks so much better, so much better. But unfortunately, again, I'm going to say for the third time, I think this has cost us finals this year.
100%. So I mean, like now, really take these last 2 weeks, build on it. GWS, Gold Coast coming up, get them out of the way, go home, reset. And 2022, I suppose now we're talking about the future already in March. It's, you know, taking that form and building it. I think they've learned a lot, though. They'll have learned a lot because this will hurt as well as last year not getting to play finals because of COVID. I think there'll be a lot of disappointment. I saw a lot of disappointed faces on the girls' faces. So hopefully that burns a fire. And 2022 will be back brighter than ever.
I agree. And I think they did learn a lot. They went into the season as favourites. And that could have been, I think that went against them somehow because they really didn't perform the way they look like they were supposed to perform through the year. And but anyway, look, the game was good. There were some really good performances. Harris and Vesio again, and Harrington again. He's absolutely dominating the back line, taking control of the back line. Gibbs had a great goal. Vesio, great goal. It was an exciting game. Yeah.
It was a very good game. I mean, let's digest it with some votes then. So we'll start with Rocco's votes on your screen now. I've made a new little cool graphic. We've got the Italian flag proudly flying by your name, Rocco, because they are playing for something very important still, something still important at play. We've got the Cabanossi Cup for the best female. So take us through your full game votes, Rocco.
Wow. I'm going to give you the full game votes because the other votes are on the screen, and as you saw, was a pretty even contest, a pretty even contribution between all the players again. But 5 this week. Oh, we're going to go 1. We're always going to start at the bottom. We're going to finish off high. 1 I gave to Georgia G. I think and again, it's one of those things with the 1 vote. It could have gone to like a whole bunch of players. And that just shows when a team is playing well, when you don't know who to give the 1 to. But 1 was Georgia G. 2 was to Maddie. Now, Maddie had an all right game, but she started well. And then she kind of she wasn't really seen after that. Not too much, but others stood up, which was good. I gave 3 to Stevens. Stevens just real busy around the ball. She was really, really busy. 4 was Harrington. Again, she looks like she's taking control of the back line. The real general in the back, the Bruce Stool of the back, the Wiedering of the back. Really enjoying her games. And 5, this girl here does not get the accolades that she should get, but I gave 5 to Moody. And especially in that last quarter, I thought, when I was watching the last quarter, I'm thinking that Moody's she's gonna bring us home, man. She was like someone on a mission, you know? So, yeah, 5 votes to Moody. I think she really deserved it this week.
No, I can't argue with them. I think all 5 are deserving recipients. I mean, if we look at your leaderboard as well, it's getting quite tasty.
Yes.
In the middle there. We've got 5th tied 3rd, if we use the golf philosophy. Hoskins, G and Stevens all tied on 17.
I like it. That's the way I like it. An even contribution. That's why my teams are so good. It's an even contribution.
And then we've got Old Egan. She's number 2 on 36, and well out in front now, 56. It's gonna take a big couple of games to catch her. It can be done though. Prasparkis leads the way on 56.
Yeah, and again, she's a star and a deserved leader. How about you, Pom? Let's see if you got them wrong again this week.
Yeah, well, I gave one vote to Maddie. As you can see, my breakdown by quarter. You see, she only features in the first quarter in my votes. Yeah. So I thought her first quarter was exceptional, though. So I thought she battled hard against stellar opposition. Yeah. But I thought she was a worthy one-vote recipient. I gave Lalofi 2 votes. I thought she was phenomenal down back. I was impressed with her game. And I thought the back line, even though it was our scoring in the opening quarters, I thought that was caused by our back line at times, stifling any entry inside 50. Right. Moody came into my votes, but she came in at number 3 in mine. She was exactly like you say, brilliant. Yeah. Particularly her second half, I thought she was brilliant, especially when she dropped behind the ball. Was the extra tall in the back line, which she offered a bit of reliability. And like I say, when I was watching the game, I was like you. I thought she might get us over the line, her hard work.
That's what it looked like. She was like a beast in the end, man. She was like everywhere. She was marking. So, yeah, deserve it for sure.
I gave old Nicolas Stevens. She gained 4 votes. I really enjoyed her game. I thought she was a constant threat. And I thought she looked like our best player at times. She looked like every time she was around the ball, something magical was happening.
Yeah.
And 5 votes I've given to Harrington. I thought the fact that she kept Gemma Houghton to almost 0 goals. Her and Wilson's unlucky. The fact that they kept that forward line to no goals for a large part of that game. I thought Harrington, though, just edged out Wilson for me, just purely because I just think what she offers, her ability to find the ball and her ability to mop up anything. Wilson, though, special mention, she did play on Houghton for all the game, keeping her to 1 game goal. Absolute phenomenal work, and probably deserves votes as I think about it, but I thought Harrington, all her hard work, she really transitioned the ball well, and I was impressed with her. So that makes my leaderboard quite impressive because it's brought players into it.
Yeah.
So 5th place, we've got Mimi Hill. I hope she's doing well. She's on 19 votes. We've got Harrington 4th, 22 votes. Moody 24, 3rd. Egan 29, and Prasparkis number 1 with 61. So similar makeup to yours, Rocco.
Yeah, they're not far off, and even those 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 we just gave, I mean, they're just in different orders, but we saw them. The same players are playing well. You know what I mean? Look, the team looks really good. If we can just get it together, when they get that running game going and that, you know, like they look super hot, man. They're really slick. So, yeah.
When it's good, it's good.
When it's good, it's good. And as I said, the last 2 weeks, it's been good 95% of the time. Would you agree? I mean, I'm telling you, I put it down here, 3 goals. It was 3 goals in 3 minutes. It was 3 goals in 3 minutes that cost that game, you know? And yeah, so anyway, really enjoyed the game and looking forward to next week.
Well, I mean, talking about 95% good. We'll go to a group of people that are 95% the opposite of good, and that is the umpires. How did we see the umpires game this week?
All right, so I've got it written down here, right? And I got umpires, and next to it, I put 3 zeros.
Yeah.
I didn't even give them I'm telling you, there was some of the worst decisions. Did you see the decision for running too far?
Yeah.
I counted those steps. There was 13 steps after the square. I didn't know that they count the running inside the square, right? Because it was 13 steps. And even if you count the steps from inside the square, it was 16 steps. Are they serious? And that wasn't the only one. That really got me going. There was a whole bunch. They were bad. They were bad. Seriously, I would not use those umpires to umpire my super coach. They would get that wrong too. I'm telling you, that was a disgrace. They're getting worse. They're getting worse. 0, 0, 0. That's what they get from me this week.
Well, I mean, I had a rant about them last week. It gets progressive. Like, I don't understand. Like, to me, this contact after the mark as well, which invoked a couple of 50s under the rough conduct rule, that was happening all game. And when I'm a firm believer, now maybe this is wrong, but my train of thought, when games are tight like that, I think you need to let things slide a little bit more. Unless it's blatantly obvious. You've got to let the players play. It's a pressure cooker situation. There was a few times Harrington marked in the fourth quarter. Houghton clattered into her and there was nothing paid.
Yep.
To me, when it's a grey area, like, is it momentum? Because, like, to me, I know a lot of people have complained about Taylor Harris, but Taylor Harris could argue that that was momentum. Like, you can't judge a player on can you stop in time because every player is different, but
100%.
The touch was minuscule as well. It was minuscule. I mean, I've been hit harder getting on a bus than that happened. And to me, I'm with you. I'm giving him a 0.
Yeah.
I gave you airtime last week, but as far as I can see, umpires, I'm going to give you no airtime this week. You get a big fat 0, and I hope that they're only part-time umpires and they have got a full-time job.
They're not going to. I hope so. I hope that this week, while they're stacking shelves at Coles, they think about the absolute rubbish they put out. Now, listen, I don't want to be an umpire basher. You know what I mean? But that was bad. That was bad. That was bad. And I don't want to be an umpire basher, but I'm telling you, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to bag them all year if they do it. But if they do something good, I'm going to give them the kudos they deserve. So anyway, again, enough about the umpires, eh?
Well, I mean, it's like I said last week, Rocco. Uncle Pom is giving everyone permission. Hold the umpires to account. They aren't above it. The game is about the players, not the umpires. And the sooner the umpires realise that, the better for this great game.
It's not like they're getting paid nothing either, man. They get paid a good wage, man. And I don't want to hear the excuse, blah, blah, it's a hard game, whatever. It's hard for me to get up 3 in the morning to go to work too, you know, but I don't go and do mistakes during the... I'll be held accountable. But anyway.
Well, we look at the coach as well. So I'll start us off with the coaches. We'll flip it around. Yep. I gave Dan 7. I thought Harford was brilliant. I thought I was really impressed with how he alleviated the issue with our forward line. We know that Kane and Houghton have been scoring at will. And I thought the way that he set up, particularly against the girls, them girls was a sound system. He really got them. He knew they were going to isolate them. He dealt with that really well. I thought he was impressive all around. I don't really blame him for the fourth. I maybe would have liked to have seen us move players behind the ball a bit sooner because I thought it was on the wall what Fremantle were trying to do. But all in all, I think if he's honest, they were just simply outplayed at the end. I think Fremantle just had more legs.
I gave, and we don't know, I gave him exactly the same. Like, we didn't know each other's scores here, so we try to go a bit blindly with this kind of stuff. So I gave him a 7 also. And before that, he was going to get an 8, you know, but I agree with you that he should have just reacted a little bit sooner and it maybe would have been a different result. That's the only thing that cost him. Apart from that, starting Harris, she was running around on the ball, I thought made a huge difference. You're right, the way he set up the defence. So look, overall, the last 2 weeks, look, Harford's shown that he's a pretty good coach. I'm quite happy the way he coaches, the way he speaks. So yeah, overall, it was a good performance. It was a good performance. It
was, and we're talking about good performances. have you got a should have stayed at home this week for us?
I'm telling you, this week was hard again. I was almost going to give it to nobody, again, but I can't. I can't keep giving it to nobody. Someone has to cop it.
Oh dear, here we are. I'm excited now.
And look, and this is going to be controversial again, and she's only like third gamer, but Gibbs. I know she kicked the goal. I understand she kicked that goal, and it was a good goal and it pumped up. But did you have a look at her disposals for the day?
Well, I was going to say to you that she had 2 touches, 1 goal. That's like 50% goals from touches. If Cripper did that, he'd have 15 a game.
Yes, but she didn't have 15 possessions, 7 goals. She had 2 possessions. So 2 possessions. That 1 goal she got was a good goal, and I was quite happy. But really, come on, 2 possessions. 2 possessions. Yeah, someone has to go home. And at the end of the day, overall, the team played well, but Gibbs. Don't make us send you back to Adelaide like no, we won't do that. We won't do that like the former Gibbs from Carlton. No. Unfortunately, Gibbs should have stayed home this week.
Well, someone's got to get it. It was a quiet game. I'll give you that. She was very quiet in that game. So, I mean, with that, we also have some happiness from the Pom. So, we're going to look at, first off, Nicolas Stevens. So, Nicolas Stevens, she had the 14 disposals, 5 marks, 5 tackles, and the 2 goals.
Yep.
The highlights are playing as we're talking of her game, and I really enjoyed her game. I think it's a nice find for Carlton. We know last year we trialled Joanne Doonan in this position, who's no longer with us. I think it's really important to have like a specialist goal kicking pressure forward, and I think she's really nailed that role down.
100%, and it's not just the pressure around that forward line. Like, she brings it up the ground. She really she works around the ball, and then she goes forward. She gives everyone that target, and then she's real busy on the ground. I really like Stevens, and she has been probably our best forward. I think our most consistent forward this year, I would have to say.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think she's the grit to Darcy Vessio's class. I think if you look at, even in the men's game, you always have one real mongrel type forward that is tenacious, that offsets the class and classy user of another. So I think there was a combination. They're absolutely phenomenal, and I'm really enjoying Stevens' development this year.
I like it. As I said, that's a good player focus there. I'm really happy with Stevens, and as I said, man, she really works hard around that ball, and she's busy. And you're right, her and Vessio working together is a great combination.
Well, yeah, exactly. And another person who seems to snot forward, and who is our feature for Play of the Day, is, I don't know whether to call her Georgia Betts or call Eddie Betts Eddie G, because this goal here was straight from the Eddie Betts catalogue, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And as you can see, I mean, it was case in point, working on the front of the pack. She just takes it down smoothly, straight onto the boot, and that was an important goal as well. There was a lot of pressure there because Fremantle had really gained the upper hand, and chances were limited for Carlton.
It was huge, and it was a great goal. And look, Georgia G, man, I've said this before, she's tiny in stature. She's so skinny and little, but, man, she plays like an absolute beast, man. She's almost, when she goes in, she's almost like dangerous, like she's going to hurt herself, but she has no regard for her own safety. And then she's you're right, she's Eddie Betts-like. She's tapping the ball in front of her, she's trying to get that upper hand, man. Very impressive. And again, you see, like, she had 13 disposals. She's always tackling, and she's always in the goals, isn't she? She's almost in the goals every week.
Yeah, impressive start that as well. 3 marks. 3 tackles as well from her. Yeah. Like you say, she's slight, but she plays big. She really attacks the ball really hard and does the bit for the team. And like you say, I think that Eddie Betts reference is a fair call. She reads the game incredibly well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, she's a really good. So, yeah, we've got some good players there, and I love the name. Georgia G. That's a star's name, man. That's a star's name.
It is indeed. It's a recognisable name. It is a recognisable name for a real game changer in every sense of the word.
Yeah, yeah.
And then up next for our girls, we've got an easy game against Gold Coast. I'll say it. I don't often like saying easy games because you can put the curse on it, but Gold Coast should be a foregone conclusion next Friday.
Well, they have been struggling, haven't they? Like, have you seen some of those results? They have been struggling. So it should be, and the way we're playing, Fremantle's top of the ladder. We almost bet them if it wasn't for 3 minutes of the game, So really, next week should be, and it should still have a slight chance for finals. Maybe keep our hopes up, but we have to still get it done. We still have to get it done because in a couple of those games that we were supposed to win, we didn't. And hopefully we don't go with that mentality. And hopefully we don't go with the mentality that season's over. You know what I mean? The season's never over until it's over.
100%. We're looking at the Doggies. Obviously the Doggies, they're the team really, if you're looking at, are the team that needs to slip out for us to fall in. Obviously, we're hoping Richmond do us a favour in round 9. We know the Doggies, they're away to the Crows. So Carlton really need to be looking at this one. Percentage booster. We've got a superior percentage. We could move the percentage really out of reach for the Doggies against Richmond and really make that game a potential banana skin for them. So for me, it's go in full strength. I have seen a few comments on the forums, rest our stars now, build them for next year. I'd say if you're going to do that, do it round 9 when it's almost mathematically impossible.
Of course.
But, there's also Melbourne there as well. They've got the Lions and Fremantle. They could drop out as well. So potentially you win this one by 30-40. You're really asking the question and putting the pressure on that our goal difference is so superior that it puts a lot of pressure on them should both them teams lose this weekend.
100%. And that's the way they've got to go in, man. And both teams now, like the men's and the female, they've got to go in now every game confident, thinking they can win, and just taking everything that's in front of them. So it should be a win. But anyway, looking forward. It's a Friday night, is it? Friday.
It is. Yeah, we've got prime time, as they say.
Don't worry, mate. It won't be long before they'll be putting both sides prime time, and they'll be begging us to play on a Friday night.
Well, talking about begging to play, Thursday night, we've got something quite special. We've got Carlton versus Richmond, and the game really needs no introduction, does it? It's one of our traditional rivals. We haven't beaten them since 2013. Reigning premiers. 2 flags are going to be unfurled on Thursday night. A lot of questions in the media about are Carlton really here? A lot at stake in this game, really, for both sides.
Mate, this is huge, man. I'm buzzing, man. I've got the butterflies. I'm starting to I'm sick of this Richmond side, man. I'm just sick of what they've been doing to us. And I'm sick of the arrogance from not only the Richmond players, but the Richmond supporters out there. Man, supporters, you've got to take stock of this, man. This is enough, man. This is a line in the sand game, mate. This week is huge, man. And I'm pumped. And for the first time in years, I really feel confident. Because even when we lost Williams last week in the tribunal, I wasn't that stressed out about it. Because I think that with our team and our game plan, we've got it. We've got this. So I'm pumped for Thursday. I think today come out that capacity might go up to 75% or something at the G. So we're looking at about 70,000 people if that's true. I'm going to get my ticket, and I'm telling you, I already spoke to Terry, and he's going to have to get me out of jail, because I reckon there's going to be a blue. I'm telling you, I'm pumped for Thursday.
It's a huge game, and it's really, for me now, we've had a lot of talk in the pre-season. The club has been saying something they haven't said for a long time. There's a lot of talk, which I don't buy into, about losing culture, about culturally we're rubbish. Like, to me, that's complete bollocks. I mean, it's a mindset, and the mindset changed, I thought, this year, where the club's messaging had gone from try, learn, rebuild, and now you're seeing more positive statements, finals, impact, change. It's a lot more like it will happen. And I believe the club now is ready, and that's from the language used alone. You're seeing the head coach now, he's not talking about there's KPIs and there's other factors at play. It seems to be a clear directive that this year we're building for the finals, and there will be a side, whether that's us, whether that's Fremantle, whether it's GWS, there will be a side that wasn't in the 8 last year that will be in there this year. And we have to look at ourselves as being that side, because we're good enough. And there's nothing statistically, historically, that says we can't be that team.
100%. Not only that we can't be that team, we are going to be that team. That's the way we got to be looking at it. We shouldn't let any team or any player own us anymore. This is ridiculous. Like, I've been hearing people, anyway, I'll talk about this in my rant, but I mean, like, what is wrong with people out there, mate? We are good enough. We are good enough now, man. We've got to that level that we're ready to take it. I'm not scared of Richmond. Reckon we go out there, man, and the first thing, I'll tell you, I want suspensions. I want people to go through that. I want everyone to know that we have arrived, mate. Like, mate, just make sure every moment counts. Make sure you're good enough. You're good enough to win this game, man. I'm pumped this week. And not only are we going to beat Richmond, we're going to absolutely tear them a new asshole, mate. That's what the attitude should be this week.
Well, I mean, it should be the mindset of we're not here anymore to compete. We're here to take over. And I am feeling that from the players. I am feeling that from the game style. And more importantly, I can't wait for the talking to stop, the analytics to stop. Thursday night, the ball is bounced, and it's up to them 22 finely preened, sex machine 22 blokes to go on there and put on a show, not only for us, but for themselves, more importantly. And we heard Cripps say that we need to get the respect back from the AFL. Yep. I don't quite buy into that. I think Thursday night, we take it back. We take 100%. The respect. And 100%. Any side that disrespects us is going to learn the hard way.
I agree 100%, man. As I said, don't let no team, like, this is almost ridiculous that Richmond own us. Well, what's going on here, mate? I agree, man. We're going to go out there and we have to take back the respect. After Thursday night, I don't know what the result's going to be, but I want everyone to turn around and go, we have arrived. We have arrived, man. I'm pumped about this game, man. From the back to the forward, we've got the players. You can see the confidence against St Kilda and against Essendon, those 2 practice matches. You can see the way we're moving that ball. We've got the skill. We're kicking the goals. You know, our defence is one of the best in the business, man. I don't care what anyone says. As a unit, that is one of the best defences going around. You know, everyone's matured just that little bit. I agree, man. this week, man, it's huge. It's huge, and I'm going to be absolutely pumped.
Oh, mate, I'm with you. I am 100% with you. And people saying it's an insurmountable task to beat Richmond. So I figured we've got a new feature. We've got no game, so we'll have Pom's player focus on 6 players, 3 from each side, that I think the game will come down to. And we'll start with the Tigers. We'll know what we're up against. And the first guy, we'll see some highlights for all as we talk about him, is none other than Jason Castanera. So Mr. Castanera likes playing Carlton. You can see his averages versus us. 15 touches, 3.4 marks, 4.2 tackles, and 2 goals. And why he's important is you look at them tackle numbers there. He buys into the forward pressure. He will stop Sard. He will stop Doc. That will be one of his primary aims. But his other one you've got to worry about is his goals. He likes kicking goals. He can get free. Not only does he put the pressure on, but he can also turn defence into attack as well. So real interesting player, Castanera, and someone that I'll be looking to Doc, Sard, Williamson, SPS, whoever has him. I think Plowman, though, will be the man for this job, and we'll be looking to stop Castanera.
I agree. I think Plowman's the man. He's Plowman's the player that all Carlton supporters like to bag, you know. But the roles this kid plays, and I'm impressed with him. And his 2 finishes in the last BS show it. He's an important role, and I think it's going to be a huge role to stop this man. As I said, Castanera is a little bulldog around that. He's what Stevens is for our girls. You know, he's just running around. He's presenting, tackling machines. So yeah, big task this week, and he's the one man we've got to stop, definitely. So if we stop him, that goes a long way to us winning.
Well, I mean, like, you asked the question, if we stop him, how do you stop him? Traditionally, Castanera is a player that gets into the game. So if Carlton can sew him up in the first quarter, not allow him to get off the chain too much, traditionally you see his scoring impact deeply affected, and they kind of deploy the role then to Rioli. So for Plowman, he's got to look at trying to stifle this guy at any opportunity. Castanera is usually the guy who's the beneficiary of a handball over the back, something like that. So he's someone that you've got to watch carefully, but someone that I think Plowman would fancy beating.
100%. It's going to be, I'm going to really look forward to this contest. I'm going to look forward to this contest. And as you said, it's going to go a big way. He's just one to stop in the forward line. There's a couple of others there, isn't there, mate?
They've got a very impressive part. I mean, you can pick any of the 6, really. And
we struggled just to pick.
But old Castanera, I picked on him this week.
Yeah. So that's it. I was saying we struggled just to pick 3. You know, there could have been like a dozen players we could have focused on, but yeah.
And then moving back into the midfield, this guy needs no introduction. Whether you're a Carlton fan or you're not, there's no getting away from it. Dustin Martin is one of the premier players in the competition. And traditionally against Carlton, he doesn't have his best games, but he is weighing his very high averages. 21.6 touches, 3 marks, 2.6 tackles. And he does love kicking a snag against Carlton, 1 goal. And he's going to be someone that is very intriguing because the way Dustin is used by Richmond, he goes where he's needed. If they're struggling in the contest, he's there. If he's not, he goes as the extra one up forward. So he is a guy who's probably going to have 2 people handle the responsibility of looking after him. Yeah,
unfortunately for us, unfortunately for them, he's earned that respect to have 2 players go on him because, and you're right, the problem with Dusty is that he can go anywhere. So if he gets, mate, you've seen it. They hold him for 1 quarter And then they go, all right, let's just put him in the forward line, you know. And then all of a sudden he's in the forward line, and he's very hard to stop in the forward line. He's one of those players. He's not the biggest, but he's strong, and he knows where the goals are. When he picks up that ball, you can see him. He knows where those goals are, you know. But we got to go in not too worried and just worried about what we have to do, you know what I mean? So the way to stop Dusty is, man, make sure that whoever's on him not only stops him but gets his own ball. And to me, that's a job for maybe like a Kerner. And we've got to do a full... Unfortunately, he has to be stopped, this bloke. It's not like, let's not worry about him. The bloke has to be stopped, man. He's a star. He's a star.
He's definitely someone that I'd be looking at Ed Kerner to take and really stifle him. As soon as he gets clean ball, particularly, he's exceptionally damaging. You see, probably his finest work is his ability to work in tight spaces. So Ed Kerner fits the bill. He's got great endurance. 100%. He can run all day. And the dusty quarter, the third quarter, usually caused because he's ran the opposite man ragged, and that's where his space 100%. Comes. So someone you've got to stop, because as the final shows as well, once he gets up and about, if Richmond aren't playing well, quite often the catalyst they need.
And 100%. And that's the other thing about Dusty. He lifts his whole side. He's that player. He lifts his whole side, man. They almost look to him. You know, when's he going to go? When's he going to go? And then as soon as he goes, the whole side lifts, man. They're looking for him. Look, dangerous. He's going to be dangerous, but he's been dangerous for the last 8 years for us, you know what I mean? So, yeah. So, anyway, stop Dusty. I want him to run straight through this bloke, mate. Forget about Dusty. Dusty, he's a has-been, mate. That's it. I don't even want to think about him this week.
Well, I mean, the other one as well, down the back, oscillating through the midfield. Probably their answer at the moment to a similar role Will Setterfield plays for us, and that's Jaden Shaw. So Jaden Shaw traditionally doesn't have a great game against Carlton. 17.2 touches, 4.2 marks, 1.6 tackles. But his role has significantly changed since he's probably played a full game against Carlton. We've seen... He's been deployed as that kind of conduit now between the defence and midfield. There's no Hooley this week, so a lot will come down to this man to be the conductor, if you will, of their backline. And we know that that's how Hardwick builds his sides. Their ability to use the ball incredibly well in the backline, find it into the midfield, and really transition very well and score from turnovers. And Shaw is the man for the job, and he's a supreme footballer.
He is. He's a very good footballer, and you're right. He's a kind of like Setterfield's kind of playing that role now. So, and you're right. He's going to be dangerous. He's another man we've got to watch. But how do we stop that? You know, midfield's got to work hard. Our midfield's got to work really hard. Work hard going back and work hard in the middle. You know what I mean? We've got to make sure the ball doesn't get there. So that's how we're going to stop Shaw.
This, I think, is kind of... You've got two trains of thought to stop Jaden Shaw, I think. You could go the St Kilda approach and play a defensive-style player in your forward line, like Geary did to Doc, and run a risk there. We know Geary as well snagged as well a few times. So there is a train of thought that you could maybe play someone like a Sam Doherty, move him, which I think is a big risk, but it's a bold call. I think what I'd play is I'd play Jack Silvani on this guy. Now, Jack Silvani doesn't have the pace, but one thing Jack Silvani showed against Nat Fife a couple of years ago, he did it against Bont as well, is although he's not quick, he can often stop you getting quick by stopping you just even finding a clean ball. And that is something that's JSOS is good at. And also, JSOS can snag himself. So, could be a role for JSOS, you know, to stop this bloke exiting defensive 50.
Well, I think that's the move. I think that's the player that's got to go on him, you know, or play that defensive forward, you know. So, I agree. And Sauce can find the goals too, you know what I mean. So yeah, that's a good pickup. I'd say Sauce on Jaden Shaw would be perfect for us. Yeah.
Yeah, because one thing about Jaden is he's a guy that likes cheap possessions. He's kind of a lead on the outside. He likes the easy ball. That's how he accumulates. He's good at not finding trouble. That's why he's so good.
Yeah.
And as you can see, he's very good with the intercepts as well, and he takes off into space. So there's a job for Jesus. Stick on him. Don't let him mark the ball. Don't let him get the ball. And again, you're halfway into stopping their exits, and that's where they're dangerous.
100%. Anyway, no problem. Jesus going to kick 3 goals this week, so I got no fears. So Jaden Shaw will be dropped to the bloody reserves next week after his performance.
I like it. I mean, I hope he doesn't have too bad a game. He is in both my dynasty and my fantasy side. So
those fantasy football ruined the way you watch footy.
It'll create a bit of a problem for my team, I tell you. But let's have a look at some positives for Carlton. What if I'm a Richmond fan and you're a Richmond fan tuning in? Who do you have to worry about? The first guy I'm going to pick on is a guy that's just been given a clean bill of health about 10 minutes before we recorded this, and that is Levi, cult hero, Mr. Python himself, Casbolt. And Casbolt, traditionally, in the last couple of years as well, has started his season very well. Took 2 goals last year as well in a real tough game for Carlton, in which they were probably outplayed for 3 or 4 quarters. And he was one of the delights in that game. 10.7 touches, 4.9 marks, 1 tackle, and just under a goal and a half a game. And Levi's someone I think can harm them. I think if you look at their back line, traditionally Grimes and Mr. Asprey play their key positions. And you find McKay, the way that Richmond deal with him is they send 2 blokes onto him. There's a lot of talk that Bolter, he'll slot down there as well. Well, it means Levi's going to get Bolter. Or he's going to get they may put Asprey on him, which I think is a risk for them. What Casbolt's got to do is stay strong, compete. And one thing Casbolt's added to his game in the last 2 years is the ability to bring it down to our talented smalls. Exactly. We've got a lot of smalls there, a lot of talk. Betts is going to play. We've heard the big game Eddie Betts from T. He's been passed as well to play on Thursday night. I think Levi is going to be very important to Carlton.
Huge. Casbolt's huge. And you're right, Casbolt starts the seasons well. Like last year, his first 4 or 5 rounds were very good, and he normally does that. He's strong. With Harry, we saw Harry, mate. I love Harry, but he seems to be pushed underneath the ball. If he doesn't mark the ball, he doesn't seem to do that groundwork as well as I would like. Last week against St Kilda, even that little bit, and even against Essendon, you saw that they double teamed him and we had no one else. Now the big Casbolt comes in, and Casbolt can take a mark. Everybody knows that. And the other thing, you're absolutely right. What Casbolt can do, man, he brings the ball down. If he doesn't mark it, he brings it down. You know what I mean? So he's going to be huge. So if they want to double team Big H, go for it, because we've got Casbolt up there, mate. We've got Casbolt up there. Not only is he going to mark it, he's going to bring it down to ground, and then we've got our small forwards who are really working well. Fisher, Fogarty, Silvani and all that working on the ground. So Casbolt is going to be huge. So watch out for Rock the Casbolt, man.
100%. I think Levi's got an important role as well. We know last year it was 8 goals in the first 4 games. He kicked 2 a game. And I think if you look at West Coast, in my opinion, the best forward line in the competition, why that works so well is Darling and Kennedy. They work together well in the terms of if you stop Kennedy, Darling kicks 4. If you stop Darling, Kennedy kicks 4. And that's where Casbolt comes in to really help Harry as well. If 100%. He gets some early marks, it asks Dimmer the question, do you want to put your best defender on Harry? Or are you going to let Casbolt go off? And if that happens, that is where we have a great chance on Thursday night.
100%. I love it. I'm telling you, he's going to be huge. And as I said, if you want to put all your apples in one basket with eggs in one basket. I say apples. Eggs in one basket with Harry. I'm telling you, Casbolt. And the other thing he does, like he helps out in the ruck, and he does a good job around the ground, Big Harry, man. He plays that one kick, you know. He's always that kick from defence, you know, that let out kick on the side there, and then he goes forward and kicks goal. Huge player, and I'm stoked that he's been declared fit and ready to go.
It's a relief. I mean, it's nice to get some good news on this show for once, because genuinely we never do. We're usually the bringer and the perceivers of horrible news.
Don't worry, mate. There's going to be good news all year. Don't you worry about that.
I love it. And the next guy I'm going to pick on, well, not pick on, I'm going to highlight, we'll say that, is none other than our very own Captain Fantastic, Patrick Cripps.
Yeah.
And Cripps, we know, traditionally likes playing this mob. 27.2 touches, 3 marks, 5.2 tackles, 0.2 goals a game. Yeah. Now, there's 2 reasons Cripps is important, I think, in this game. One, when he gets up and about, it's the Dustin Martin effect. It instills confidence in our team. Go back to Brisbane Lions 2019 with Teague's one of his first games in charge. And when he went off, our team looked absolute dynamite. There is a real change in our team when this bloke is up about and having a good laugh. Isn't it? When he's enjoying himself, we look tasty.
Huge. He's huge. He's our Dusty. Of course he is. He's our captain. He's the bull in the middle. You know what I mean? He's the one that can make a difference. But the midfield, they have to help him out, and I think they will. They can't leave it all up to Cripps to do everything. He does what he does deep in the packs. And we got to get him that help, because when we do, and he starts to free up, right, and he starts winning that ball, he starts to look really dangerous. Man, just his size gets him 5 or 6 possessions a game. Just his size.
Spot on, mate. Spot on.
Just his size. So we've got to help him out. And if we do, and he, like you said, once he gets up and about, he is one of the best midfielders going around. And Richmond are going to worry about him, and they're going to do everything, because they also know that when Cribber has a bad game, he puts his head down a little bit and he has a bad game. So they'll know that. So we have to help him out at the start, get the ball in his hands, right? And he's going to be huge for us. He's going to be huge.
And from a structural standpoint, we saw last year GWS and St Kilda and Hawthorn had great success against Richmond by deploying a third tall. Now, we know that'll shock the viewers at home that I'm even suggesting a third tall, because we know that I am the antichrist of third talls.
Yeah.
But in game, I do love a third tall when it comes from within your structure.
Exactly.
Now, we saw Lockie Whitfield go up forward, cause havoc against Asprey, Grimes, and it was Chol that day. They hadn't got a clue when that third man came, who was a bit taller, what to do. It threw their system off, because they were so used to dealing with 2 talls. Suddenly this third marking guy comes in. They're like, what the hell do we do? We saw St Kilda do it. They deployed Steele, and they also deployed Jake Carlisle up there from down back, who had a field day up and forward against them. It is a role that I see Cripper doing, and you can see Teague trials it. Now, whether that is Casbolt doing it in the ruck and Pitternet going forward for a bit, I actually think that Teague will maybe look at this bloke, because Cripper, if he gets an early goal, we see him lift as well.
100%. And you know he can take a mark. He's huge. He's 195. The bloke's huge. The bloke can play forward if he wanted to, you know. So it's huge. And they will deploy. Of course, they're going to play him up forward at times, and I do like that. They're also going to play Pitts. I reckon Pitts is going to go up forward at times, and he's shown in the last 2 weeks that he can kick a goal, you know. So, and look, with Cribber, even last year and the year before, man, he gets up there and he contests the ball and he takes marks. His problem's been kicking goals. That's his problem. You know, like, so if that bloke was kicking straight, gee, who knows where he'd be now, you know? But he can contest the ball, and look, it looked like his kicking. I believe his kicking looked better this pre-season for some reason. You know, I don't know if it's because he's bulked up again and he's back to what he used to do, but yeah, it's going to be dangerous if Cripper goes up there and takes a couple of marks, 1 or 2 goals. It's going to be huge, man. It's going to be huge for us.
I couldn't agree more. I really couldn't agree more. I think you're spot on. I think as well with what Cripps has got, a really integral part to play for us is it sets the standard as well early. If Cripps, like you say, gets the ball early, starts impacting, any doubts that are in the mind of that midfield group suddenly disappear because Cripper is here. And I think the extra muscle, think it's going to help him.
Oh, he's huge, man. Even when he runs out, the bloke's a mountain, man. And you could see everyone lift around him, especially the smaller blokes, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, Fisher, all those smaller blokes, man, when you're running behind this bloke here, man, you must feel like 10 men, you know? So, yeah, he's going to be huge. And I think he's ready, man. He's going to go out there, and that first centre bounce is going to be huge, man. I think the bloke's going to go straight in. I'll be very surprised if he didn't get the first possession of the game, man. He's going to be straight in there, underneath the pack, and he's going to handball it off to Walsh. Walsh, you're going to kick it straight down the throat of bloody Harry Mackay, and we're going to kick a goal within the first 23 seconds. That's my prediction.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. And the next guy we're going to feature, and Pom's got a little bit of an interesting start why this guy is here, and that is none other than Will Setterfield. Now, the reason we look at Will Setterfield's numbers against Richmond, 14 touches, 2 marks, 3 tackles, they're not exciting. But what is exciting is where he's playing at the moment. Now, traditionally, if we look at his heat map in the year, he's been predominantly back, right, half forward, oscillating between the wing and the midfield. Yep. And it's interesting because people have said to me, why is that happening? Richmond kick a staggering 55% of all their scores from that part of the ground. That is where the danger is of Richmond. It's where they attack from. Their left wing and left half forward. And he's going to be right in the thick of the action. He's going to be stopping the outlet ball. They look to attack from the left. Quite often, it's a pattern. Somewhat Hooley on the left flank. He knocks it into the corridor. Prestia knocks it out wide. And they attack from that inside 50, from that left-hand side channel, where he will be. So, interesting role there. A little interesting thing for you to all look out for Thursday. But another reason is that is where they're dangerous. That exit kick out of defensive 50 is why they are top 3 for scores from turnovers. They stop you at that point. Watch the Geelong Grand Final. Their forward press is the best in the comp. They peg you down in these areas. And this is where this gentleman receiving that kick from D50 is so important to this game.
What I'm impressed about is that stat. That's brilliant, man. I didn't really. That's Pom at his best there, man. That's brilliant. So 55% from that left hand side.
That's correlating every game. Just so you know, so every game, little Pom on his computer. Little check mark of where that kick came from. Hey, it's a Pom start.
That is unbelievable. And just quietly, everyone out there, the amount of work Pom puts into these graphics and these stats, man, this is just hours of work from Daniel's son here, man. And so we all appreciate it. But that is a massive, I didn't know that. You got me there. That's a good one. So that's huge now. I was already saying, Setterfield playing that roving back and along the wing was already huge. And in the last 2 games, he's got, even near the end of last year, he was getting, his disposals here are 14 against Richmond, but he's been averaging in the 20s now, correct? So they're right up there, and you don't really notice Setterfield. And to me, that's dangerous. You know, you're not noticing him, but he's getting the ball. He's a good disposal. He mostly always finds somebody. So that's going to be huge. And if you've come up with that stat, I'm thinking that the Blues have come up that stat.
They have to have done. I'd imagine their scouts check that. I mean, like, yeah, but to me, I think it's important because we look at another guy that traditionally hurts them for Carlton, Charlie Kerner.
Yeah.
He often sets up where Will Setterfield is as the pressure kick out of D50. Yeah. I actually think Setterfield's better than Kerner at this role because he's a midfielder. He gets it. His job will be to be almost like Tom Brady, I would suspect, and get that ball in and either look for the handball inside to a dashing Adam Sard or to hit up the next kick. We saw it against Essendon quite often. He'd get the ball, Sard would run past him as the fake, and he bobs the kick into the corridor to a Cripps and really sets the attack on. That is where you can hurt Richmond as well, their transition. So, huge game, and I actually think if Carlton win this game, this guy will have 3 Brownlow votes. That's my big call.
That is a big call, but it's not. It's big, but it's not that big. And you're absolutely right. If we're going to win this game, he's going to have to play a huge role. He's going to have to play a huge role. And I'm confident in Setterfield. The way he's developed over the last year and that has been superb. It's exactly what we wanted from the kid, you know. And now there's going to be a huge game for him. And I think he's ready to go. I think he's ready to go this week. So, yeah, that's going to be huge. I'm loving it.
Well, I'm pumped. I've talked about our players' score predictions for Thursday.
Wow, it's going to be a tough and rugged game. But I think that, of course, the Blues are going to win. It's going to be hard for me to pick the Blues not winning this year. I went through and I can't see us losing a game. But anyway, on Thursday night, I think it's going to be close. And I think we're going to win by 11 points.
All right, I've got a feeling it's going to be a tighter than a frog's bum for 3 quarters. And Carlton to flip the record book, come home like a Richmond 2017 grand final side. Carlton to win by 3 goals, 18.
Go the Blues!
Go Blues!
I love it, man. We're going to get the 4 points straight up. Nah, I love it. I'm really confident this week. I'm telling you, I'm confident.
Well, I mean, we're pumped up now. Let's hear Rocco's rant.
The Rocco's rant. Let's do this. What I'm going to rant about this week is the supporters out there, right? We look at a bit of the social media. I don't really like to do it, but the doom and the gloom by the Carlton supporters, what is wrong with you people, mate? Oh, you know, it's going to be a tough game. Realistically, we're probably not going to win. I don't want to hear that. How can you think before the ball is even bounced that we're not going to win this game? We should be going out there and we should be tearing them a new arsehole, like I said before, man. Why are we scared of this team? Why are we scared in this? You know why? Because they've got in our heads, right? They've got in our heads and they've got in the supporters' heads, right? I hear a lot of, yeah, we'll lose the first round, but we might win the next 3. What are you talking about? How can you go in thinking that? How can you go in thinking that? Stop writing it on the social media. Stop bringing out that energy. I don't want to hear this energy, man. We're going to absolutely destroy them. And if we don't, we're going to die on the ground. Mate, everyone's got to go out there and be confident. Supporters, when we're out there, I want to, there's going to be more supporters out there, but I want us to be louder than them. And if you're not there, I want you to be louder than them at home. And whenever you see a Richmond supporter, I want you to tell them that their time is up now. Their time is up, and we're taking the number 1 position from now on. So, my rant is, stop being a wuss. We're out there to take the big cup. I don't care what anyone says.
Couldn't agree more. We've got to be united. I think it's a united front. I've been privy this week as well. One of my mates is in a Richmond group. We've been having a bit of banter back and through. He's getting a little bit more hated and heated in the last couple of days because we've started exchanging each other PMs of each other's wives and going, who's this ugly person and stuff like that, trying to get under each other's skin. So it's starting to get personal, as it often does with us. But no, there's been a few posts from Carlton fans in Richmond groups where they're running scared.
Yeah.
Look at them, like same old Carlton. So come on, boys and girls, get behind this team. Win, lose or draw, we hold our heads high in defeat and we hold our heads high in victory as well, more importantly.
100%.
Shouldn't be scared of these guys.
Don't be scared of him. And I had a supporter come up to me, man, and I'm chasing him down next week when we win, right? And he goes, oh, if you do make the 8, you're only making it just to make up the numbers, man. And I talk shreds through it. And I thought, look at the arrogance of this type. Look at the arrogance. And the supporters have forgot that 4 years, they were just absolute rubbish, that side. They were absolute rubbish. And now they're walking around like they're the bee's knees of everything. Well, you know what? We're going to knock you off this week, man. I don't want to hear it from your supporters. I don't want to hear it from the players, right? I'm telling you, everyone go out there and let them know that we're back. I want the arrogance back. I'm telling you, I'm going to walk around. I'm going to be so arrogant, man. You watch. You watch. So, yep, everyone get out there and let's beat this mob.
Mate, I couldn't agree more. And my Pommy's pledge / pondering we had last week, the weekly dose of where I am. I wanted to give people a little bit of a taste and to think of what's possible. So there's a lot of sides that have done this. You've got to remember Richmond 16, 13th, finished 3rd in 17, 15th in 18. Brisbane were 2nd in 19. Port 19, 10th to 1st. St Kilda last year, they were 13th to the top 8. And Pies 2017, 13th to the top 8. And you look at us as well, statistical breakdowns from last year, there is not a lot in it. In fact, Carlton surpass when you break it down by the margins of games played. So obviously we played 3/4 of a quarter. Carlton are actually superior and equal in nearly every facet of all these sides.
Yep.
Like the St Kilda reference is remarkable, particularly when you take into account their 2 shortfalls were experience and game winners, and they brought in a same demographic as Carlton did. 2 guys with a 50% win streak and a 40% win streak in key positions in their list, which Carlton did to replace players. Very impressive stats there. So a reason I would say that we are way statistically and historically that side that goes into the 8.
I agree, man. I agree. And that's a good one. And I do agree, man. Every year a team comes from outside of the 8 and really explodes. And if you look like at those teams the year previously to making the 8, they were there and abouts. They were there and abouts, man. Like they were just losing games. They were winning some good games, then losing some games they shouldn't have lost. You know what I mean? They were there and about, and that's exactly where we've been. And last year we were exactly that. We lost games we shouldn't have lost, especially near the end of the year, but we won some really good games. We played some really, really good football. We've added to our list those players that we really needed. So, hey, why shouldn't we be making the 8? And I'm telling you, the stats show that we will make the 8 this year.
Mate, I'm with you. So honestly, ladies and gentlemen, whether you're at the game, you're lucky enough, whether you're not, scream loud, scream proud. The boys will feel that energy. Let's get these boys home and let's get back into the 8, taking over this comp where we belong.
I like it.
And talk about taking over the comp and being a leader. We had the wonderful last week we had Toby as our 19th person. We pick on one of you every week to be the voice, to be the pillar, to be the example. And you can get in that position by doing a variety of things. And this week I'm looking at serial closet trasher, Tracy Reed. So,
like Tracy. Tracy.
I love a bit of Tracy, but Tracy always keeps me amused because when she's not at the game, she goes in and destroys her closet and keeps me amused with her rants and ramblings at the game. But Tracy, she works very hard in the ladies' Carlton section, really drives that. She's a great person as well, real Carlton person. She supports just about every social media Carlton enterprise as well. She's a real fantastic lady, and she really drives the culture and tries to keep us all together. So Tracy, love you, my darling.
Tracy, great number 19th person or player. She always makes me laugh with her comments and that. And yeah, she's a great 19th person. I love it. And is that our second female? I think it might be.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Sonia was our first. Yeah.
Second female. So that's it. Just keep it up. So with the 19th person, I want everyone to push this forward. This is our way of showing us being part of the Carlton team. You know, there's 18 players on the ground, and we are the 19th person. We are the 19th person. If it means us at the ground or making comments or doing whatever, yeah, we are the 19th person. And this week, good choice, Tracy. I love it.
Well, Tracy, do what you do. I know you'll drive them passionate blue baggers wild.
That's it.
And before we end the show, I believe you've got a fun fact for me, Rocco.
All right, let's always finish off with a bit of a fun fact. You know, everyone's been going on about the rules, yeah? But let me tell you something, right? Rules have been changed since day one in this game. It's just part of the game. When Aussie rules, we change the rules, right? It should be Aussie different rules every year. That's what it should be called, right? And I'll tell you now, the first record, I'm going to give you a bit of a fun fact here. The first record was in 1912, right? And in 1912, there was an article in there that was called The New Rules. And I'm just going to read you 2 paragraphs about one of the new rules. So imagine this. You think that the new rule we got this year? Imagine this new rule. Right. Any poor chap who attends the football, this is how they used to write it too. This is 1912, the first record. Any poor chap that attends the football tomorrow without first having had a thought examination of the new rule book could be forgiven for feeling a bit bemused. No longer will games be decided only on the basis of goals registered by a team. Behinds for the first time will be recorded and counted to determine the outcome of the game. This will bring an end to the situation where a team with 2 goals and no behinds beats another team with 1 goal and 15 behinds. Okay, so, and then it goes on and on. But, so in 1912 was the first time they decided to add the points to the scoring system. So you would kick, as they said, 1 goal, 15 behind. The team with 2 goals, 1 behind would win the game. So there you go. That was the rule change for 1912.
Long time ago. I'm sure some of our esteemed members of the audience will tell me 1912. I'm pretty sure that's when Titanic sunk as well.
I think it was, yeah. There you go.
Hey, not just a pretty face. I also listened in school.
There you did. That's a good stat. That's a good stat. 1912 is when
you wait for someone to comment in the comments and go, it was actually 1911 or something.
Or something. That's right.
I'm taking it. It's definitely 1912. 100%.
There you go. 1912, the Titanic, and 1912 we decided to include the points in the scoring system. So there you go.
Well, I mean, if you're telling me that that's one of the major changes and we've had a major change this year, I will definitely avoid any boats in 2021.
That's it. No boats, no travelling. That's exactly right.
Okay, well, that's all we got time for here. Let us know in the comments what your predictions are for Richmond. We'll be back, hopefully with some beers and the 4 points against the Tigers. Until then, go Blues.
Go Blues.